Hello, everyone. Welcome to Dirtying the Frame. I'm Sarah, and we have your lovely co-host Asaad with us today.
They can see me.
Hello.
A little too bright on these lights. Jesus, what is it? Is a train gonna hit me?
I feel like you're compensating is the word that we
For the past pods where I was in the total darkness?
For you having a small man part.
Thank you for editing yourself the first 1 minute.
30 seconds. Yeah,
thank you.
be careful, God, be careful. You can't
see my man part?
Is that how you get ladies, Asaad, or gentlemen, whatever you're interested in?
When I start to get ladies, I'll let you know.
Maybe you should try. Hey, I got a pretty small man part. Hello, everyone. We are today talking about potentially someone who also has a small man part. Godzilla.
Godzilla. That was
Godzilla.
racist.
Wait, can Godzilla be a woman? Maybe it was sexist.
Oh, yeah.
What was racist about it?
Can I ask you really quick about the title of this movie? What does the title mean? Minus one, Godzilla Minus One?
Godzilla Minus One. I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I'm really good at being a podcaster because I do no research. My research was going and sitting in this movie for however long it was.
That's what I want out of it. Yes, guys, thanks for tuning into the pod with your two experts who don't even know the title of the movie. So this will be a deep dive.
Hey, Asaad, did you have a question you wanted to ask me?
How was your birthday?
Birthday was in July. It's December. No, there's a question written on the board. You've known me for almost 10 years, sir. You don't know when my birthday is?
No, it was just kind of something for people to think about. Yeah, that's it.
I'm a person. You want to know what I think about it?
What?
I think Godzilla all day long.
Yeah?
Well, here's the thing. Godzilla. Oh, so Asaad wrote Godzilla or the Hulk. For our listeners, because we're on Apple Podcasts now. And Spotify, the one that people actually use, right? I just am the only person in the live still keeping Apple in business with their podcast. Asaad asked a question, Hulk or Godzilla Minus One? And I think the Hulk is probably a little smarter than Godzilla, but Godzilla is radioactive, I think.
He is. And Hulk's ended up kind of being a bitch in the film. So, yeah, you're right.
And are we saying he? Is Godzilla a he or maybe they?
Yeah. Yeah. I was talking about the Hulk as in he.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to start this podcast, guys. Welcome to Dirtying the Frame. Thank you to all of our subscribers, our members. We appreciate your love and support, and thank you for those who are listening. We appreciate your love and support as well.
Disclaimer, we will say a lot of names we can't pronounce because we're dumb Americans in this pod.
I'm so glad that you remembered to say that.
Sorry to everyone we mispronounce.
So I went and saw Godzilla Minus One. I don't know where you saw this movie, Asaad, but I went and saw it at the Regal downtown, and the only time that was available, it was in 4DX. As I've mentioned many times on this podcast, it's those seats that sometimes it's in 3D. This one wasn't. It was no glasses, but your seats are moving and they spray water at you. So you can imagine in this movie there was a lot of water action and a lot of jiggling around in your seats, and and every time Godzilla was on the screen, they pumped this scent of freesia into they only have one scent. This is my biggest complaint about the 4DX. They only have one scent, and it's of flowers. So it was so odd that like every time Godzilla came onto the screen, you were like, oh, Godzilla smells like a lovely combination of Joe Malone and Clint Cappy. You know, like who knew that's what an underwater monster looked like?
Joe Malone.
Like, I mean, what?
It smells like Joe Malone.
So that was interesting. That was this was not a good movie to see in 4DX, I will say, because it was a really heartfelt, dramatic film, actually.
Yeah.
And it was like we'd be coming out of being thrown around. And you know, if you've ever gone to see a movie, if you've ever been lucky enough to see a movie in 4DX, everyone in the audience is having this unique joint experience together. And there's always first timers there, noobs. And you're just getting shaken around. And after you get done being shaken around, everyone kind of laughs because they feel uncomfortable. But there's so many dramatic moments in this movie. It was a real weird experience. So I recommend seeing this in the normal way in seats that don't move.
3D or 2D. See it in 2D, please.
2D, yeah. Maybe 3D would be cool.
Tell us about Godzilla, Sarah.
We've got a logline.
Okay.
Post-war Japan is at its lowest point when a new crisis emerges in the form of a giant monster, baptized in the horrific power of the atom bomb.
You've been baptized?
I have.
Okay, cool.
Twice.
What religion?
Catholic and Orthodox Christian. What about you?
Baptized in the streets.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
You're wearing a H&M sweater.
I was going to say that sweater is not screaming the streets. So I went and saw this movie before you did. Where did you see it?
I saw it at the Grove. Yeah.
Were your seats moving?
My seats were not moving. No. Saw it at the Grove. Didn't know what to expect here. It was one of those movies I was hearing a lot of buzz about. And I'll just kind of ruin some of my takes later on because I think it's important to say up front. I don't know still if I liked this movie or because it was a Godzilla movie, I got more than what I expected.
That part.
It's hard for me to really separate the two. I'm like, was this actually a good movie or was this a good Godzilla movie? You know, I guess we'll break it down a little bit here, but still really enjoyed this viewing.
Give me one word.
For what?
For this movie.
3, 2,
1.
Riveting. Sad.
Oh.
What did you say?
Riveting.
Oh, riveting. Okay.
It's so funny. We say them at the same time and we can never hear each other.
We never know. It doesn't change, but like even outside we talk at the same time. We haven't heard each other in 3 years.
That's why we still get along, because he doesn't know all the bullshit I'm talking. You said it was sad?
Surprisingly sad. I thought it was,
Agreed.
you know, like there was Godzilla, someone told me a long time ago, and everyone else probably knows this, that he's just a big like euphemism, metaphor for atomic energy or an atom bomb. And that's why Godzilla got famous. It's like a big metaphor for that. That's why Godzilla started in Japan post World War II. World War II, sorry. And so it was really cool to have the people make the film that have been historically crushed by Godzilla all the time, that Americans have made 100 times. Like, Americans, stop making the Godzilla film. It's not your film. It's cool to have one from the Japanese perspective because now it's actually about war and you get to meet the people that America just has Godzilla stomp on them and you don't tell their story. But this was a story told, a human story with Godzilla in the background.
I think that is a very good way of explaining it. Have you seen any of the other Godzilla movies? Because this was my first Godzilla experience, period.
Really?
Yes.
No, I've seen all of them. Which, strangely enough, my mom was really big into like the OG Godzilla vs. Mothra, and then I think I've seen all the like 7 remakes of Godzilla. I'm actually pumped that Godzilla and Kong are teaming up. I saw that trailer recently.
Oh.
For a new one. They mended their differences. They were fighting in the last one, Sarah, and then Godzilla said to Kong, "Bro, why are we doing this, man?
Let's love each other."
Come on, man." And,
wait, has Judith seen this movie yet? Do you know?
Judith, my mom. Oh, I should ask.
Text her right now when I'm talking and see if she has.
I owe her like $500, so I kind of like don't want to talk to her right now.
That makes so much sense. You probably haven't talked to her in years. You've owed that lady money forever.
Yeah, it was actually $20, but it's just interest.
It's from your youth.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm even more interested in your opinion. So was this, and I agree that, fair enough, I hadn't thought of it until you said it, but the only reason I shouldn't say that, it maybe sounds mean, but the only reason I really was like, wow, this movie was great, was because I would never go see a Godzilla movie. I was expecting kind of not something, just something, you know, that's a big smash-em movie that's made for boys that, you know, you can just go sit and turn off your brain and enjoy, which I like as much as the next boy. But I kept getting all of these, like, people were talking about it, and so I thought we weren't going to do this for the pod until your girl said, all right, I'm going. We're going to find out if this is worth the hype. And I knew Asaad was excited to see it, so I ended up seeing it before him, and then we decided to talk about it. And let's do that now. So we meet my eyes, you guys. Shikishima is the main character.
When you bend down that far, it's really down your shirt. Okay, all right. Well, now we just got flagged by YouTube. Now you got to see my ugly face.
There's nothing to see. There's nothing to see.
Yeah, and that's our first warning of butchering someone's name. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm glad you did it and not me.
It's not good. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
But great actors. This movie was great. Shikishima, who he lost his nerve as a kamikaze pilot. So he was in the war and he was supposed to be a kamikaze pilot, which means you fly your plane, you commit suicide basically. And he lost his nerve. And he, after the war ends, he has to go home and he's kind of just like riddled with PTSD and guilt about the fact that everyone he knows and loves is gone and dead, and he lost his nerve, and so he's feeling a lot of guilt about that.
Really cool perspective to make it about him, you know, and a new way to introduce PTSD, you know. This film is very much about PTSD.
You read my notes.
No, I didn't. I promise I didn't. I went to go see the movie, though. And it's a cool perspective. I didn't know that. Like I've heard of kamikaze pilots growing up, but his nation kind of like, once you return from war and you're not dead, you're like, oh, you're a coward. You didn't complete the mission. Especially he comes to a war-torn city that like had to survive bombing. So he has no respect on where he lives. Cool story device there.
And some of the people, I think when he comes back home, he meets one woman who's screaming at him because she lost all of her family and they were also fighting in the war.
Yeah.
And,
but he saw Godzilla face up, man. He didn't know what to do, as any of us would not know what to do if you see a 300-foot monster, He froze.
Facts.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of dealing with this as he's back and doesn't know how to go on. And he meets a young woman who's found a baby, and he takes them in and kind of takes care of them.
Yeah.
Why I said you read my notes, because I wrote my next question was going to be, I think this is about PTSD, and like I think Godzilla represents PTSD in this movie, which I think is really, I think that's really what made this a great film, because I think we've all at this point heard about or know somebody with PTSD from going to war and the soldiers and all of the stuff that they have to put up with. And Asaad brought it up to me, that they used to just call it shell shock. It was like, oh yeah, it's just shell shock.
Remember how we used to treat people like, oh, he's just like not right in the head. He's got shell shock. It's no big deal. It's like, no, there's actually a diagnosis for that.
Yeah. And when you think about it, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But I guess we all live and learn. So he takes in this baby and this woman, and they kind of live together. We don't get the vibe that they're romantic together, but they live together. And then he ends up almost as a need for a job and for penance. I feel like he felt guilty. He decides to take this job sweeping the sea for mines, and it's a very dangerous job. Obviously, if you pick up a mine, it could blow up your boat. So he ends up doing that with this kind of ragtag group of men, and they build a wooden ship, and they take it out, and then they get tasked with finding Godzilla and capturing or killing Godzilla.
Yeah.
Their little wooden boat with their 4 guys. They're in charge now of killing Godzilla.
Which is really cool. You feel like you're in good hands in this film, because any Godzilla movie, it's about Godzilla. It's about a big fucking lizard that stomps on New York, And there's so much pre-story to that story in this that you're actually engaged in. Usually if they're giving me a bunch of story before a big lizard comes on screen, I'm like, just get to the lizard. But these people, I was actually engaged in the story. I felt bad for the guy. When you say you think it's about PTSD, there's like, no, think. Like this is a movie about PTSD.
Cool.
I love the fact that you brought up that Godzilla is the physical representation of that. I didn't think about that. And now it makes me want to go see the movie again. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. My note was, am I insane for thinking that? Because this woman who is our star's best friend, the woman he's brought into his home with the baby and stuff, who they love each other. You definitely get the sense that they love each other and they care for each other. But she keeps saying stuff like, oh, are you done fighting your war?
Yeah.
And that was why I was like, oh man, like, and of course he's going to take that call to action to now go and try and kill this monster that he was supposed to. He's got a second chance, so I'm in so far, and I agree with you. I think that's why we liked it. You're just getting the story of a soldier. It was more Saving Private Ryan than it was, Armageddon.
Yeah, and all the other Godzilla movies we see, there's a team of people that are getting together to defeat Godzilla. And this one wasn't free of that, but it really honed in on one person's experience with a big fucking lizard. And I thought that was really cool, other than like, you're not supposed to date people with kids, let alone let them move in.
It's not her kid.
Okay, all right. Loophole.
Loophole. So then Godzilla attacks the city where his girlfriend, Shikishima's girlfriend.
Yeah.
Oh gosh darn it! Every time I say the name, it's going to be worse and worse. And basically, she narrowly escapes getting crushed by this big lizard, as Asaad so lovingly calls her or him. And he runs to go to be where he knows she's worked there and that there's been a Godzilla attack. He runs to go and save her, and she saves him. She pushes him into this alleyway, and spoiler alert, as you know, we do spoiler alerts. She pushes him into this alleyway, and Godzilla comes and lights the shit on fire, and she is presumed dead, and he has this really dramatic scene that made me so sad. He just like cries, and he's lost this girl, and he's so sad, and he swears his revenge on Godzilla.
Yeah, and he's a man that they never were interested in love. It was kind of like the elephant in the room. lizard in the room. They
The
never
giant
in love,
lizard in the
but
room.
they essentially had to raise this kid together. You know, the kid calls them mom because the kid calls them dad, and he never gets to say he loves her. We're not sure he does in the film, but all of a sudden she's gone.
And his reaction to that, maybe he didn't get the chance because he was so busy dealing with this trauma that he couldn't love her.
Yeah.
And then she ends up saving him from his PTSD.
Oh shit.
Right?
Damn,
in that
man.
moment, she pushes him into the alleyway.
Yeah.
And she's saving him from that in that moment.
Damn, you're making me realize this. You're really good at this. I just thought you were a pretty face because usually I listen to this pod on mute.
Oh, Lord of mercy. So that part was heartbreaking to me. And you bring up a great point, right? He didn't say that he loved her, but when she died, you felt that he did.
Oh man, heartbreaking stuff. A lot of the times absence makes the heart grow fonder, and this one forced it, you know?
Yeah.
Like it kind of revealed things to him once she was gone. Yeah, and he's just like hell-bent now. This brings me to the nerd part in me, Sarah. Sorry if I'm interrupting here. The whole part. I love when they get tactical about how they're going to kill Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
You know, now the whole country is like, you just came home from war. We understand if you don't want to go to another war with a lizard. So some people leave, some people stay, but they're like, if you're staying, this country needs you. Then they go into the real like detailed plan about Godzilla's been attacking in water. They're gonna give him what I will call nitrous oxide. That's not it. That'll make him sink to the bottom so fast it's pressurized that'll kill him. If it doesn't, they'll give him inflatables too that'll make him rise to the top, and that's double pressure. And it's like, I was like, this is pretty cool. Usually
Really
it's just like a
cool.
bunch of old white people in New York being like, shoot him down.
Yeah.
But I thought this was really cool, and I was really engaged in this part. Like I actually knew what they were trying to accomplish here.
Totally. And I also, I can't believe I forgot to bring this up until now. This movie is completely in Japanese.
Oh,
So it's
is it?
subtitled. It's subtitled, the whole
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Which normally is a total deal breaker for me because I can't pay that close of attention. I did not stop. It didn't lose me at any point in this
Yeah.
movie. I was watching, I was reading, I was jiggling, I was having a grand old time. But no, that's a great point. And I really liked the actor who played Kenji, who's so I mentioned earlier that they're this kind of ragtag group of going and getting the mines out. So that same group says, hey, America isn't helping us out. They're not sending, they're sending us back our ships that they stole from us, I believe is what happened. Like these big ships, they're going to send them back and that's their way of helping. But no one's coming to our rescue and our army isn't helping. Like we got to do this on our own. So it was this, I liked that kind of, it was like that Newsies feel, you know, of like bootstraps. Hey, no one's coming to save us. We got to do this shit ourselves.
100%.
And so it's a bunch of retired army workers, some people who were in the war. And in fairness, when he calls to them, when this man Kenji, who I thought was did such a good job. He played this kind of older, with great hair. Did you notice that? This curly, floppy hair. And he's the one who comes up with the plan. But he has this sweetness about him. Kind of a bumbling scientist, but a brilliant bumbling scientist about him. And I thought that whole moment really worked for me when he's telling everybody, okay, we got to get together. And these guys are like, fam, we just got back from the war. Like why are we fighting for this country that is not fighting for us? You know, type of a thing. And I just gave myself goosebumps again.
It's a strong story. And I wanted to tell you something to think about. I don't want to introduce a thought and not close the loop on it, but I was Googling why it was called Minus One.
Oh, uh-huh.
And it says the title represents the idea that Japan couldn't sink any lower after the bombings of Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Dang. So they're down. They were already down,
Yes.
and now it's like
And
-1.
and now a monster's attacking that. You know, that's kind of cool.
Crazy.
Geez, I'm glad I Googled that. Sorry we don't do
That's
enough
cool.
Googles before we pod, guys. But
Enough Googles.
But yeah, but yeah, I really dug this. You know, and obviously he's a kamikaze pilot, so he knows how to shoot. He knows how to fly. And this whole time when you're leading up to this final act where Godzilla's attacking, you think the plan might work. But they take a really cool approach to Godzilla, which I haven't seen before, which is like his skin regenerates.
Yeah, so they shot him at some point, and you see him on screen. You see him get shot, him
Yeah.
or her, get shot in the face, and
It clears. It's like proactive. It clears up so quick.
What is it? Wolverine.
Yes.
Is a good example of that, where he regenerates. He's got adamantium.
Adamantium skin. Yes.
Were you impressed by me knowing that word?
Yes.
I was.
Yes. Points for you, fucking nerd. And all of this stuff is like, oh, this whole film, they're adding +1, +1, +1, +1, all these little nuances that you don't have to do for a Godzilla film. But someone said, you know what? I want them to take this Godzilla film serious. And all these new little nuances of it, the way his tail would engage before he spits lightning blue, whatever that is, like there's a lot of nuance here in the story, in the human story, in the metaphors. I will say one thing, Sarah. One thing I don't understand, I didn't listen a lot in school. Why, even in Game of Thrones, when like the giants come, why do they walk so slow? Why is everything like?
Because if your foot's
perspective, right?
It's really, if you have a really heavy foot, like
like a club foot.
it takes longer to pick it up.
There's something.
No, man. What are you asking me for?
Math people that listen to our pod explain it to us. Cause I know like something that big will always look like it's moving slow, but every time they showed Godzilla walking, which is a lot of walking, I'm like, man, this guy's slow. I could beat Godzilla. Anyways.
They should have just Home Aloned him and put some like push pins down underneath his feet. Here you go. Ow!
You got
stubbed
me.
my toe. I'm leaving. I'm out of here. That's a really good point. So at the end of this movie, do you want to try and explain this? Okay, so he ends up Shikishima. He ends up being the backup plan. They try to sink Godzilla and then they try to bring him back up, and it ends up injuring him.
It fucks him up.
It messes him up, but it doesn't kill him.
Yeah.
And so we've got our main hero who's now lost his partner and lost all of his hope, and he feels really guilty and about missing the mark the first time, and he's like, I'm going to do it now. So he's going to kamikaze into Godzilla and set off a huge bomb on the inside of him.
Yeah.
We see him do it. He saves the day. Everybody's really sad because his daughter, well, not biological daughter, but his daughter that he's now taken care of, is left alone with the neighbor because now we think he's died. But he's got a parachute, and he parachuted out of the plane, and he's fine.
And now that you're like running with this metaphor, it really is a decision for him to stay and fight.
Yeah.
Because, he does want to die. This PTSD has taken over his life, and he does want out of here. And he has a decision to face right when he's flying that plane right into Godzilla's mouth, if he wants to stay and fight or if he wants to leave. And having that metaphor be a kamikaze pilot is making this movie even more brilliant. I'm so glad we break down these movies like this, and I get to pick your brain because I didn't look at it like that, and now it's falling into place for me. After Godzilla dies, after the bomb does explode in his mouth, his face explodes. Shikishima is a hero again, and his neighbor runs to tell him that his ex kind of wife, who never was his wife, is actually alive, and he goes and runs to see her in the hospital. And I would like to introduce a new segment, Sarah, but you have to name it because I don't know what it is.
Okay.
We need to highlight the best line in the film. What's the segment called?
Ooh, best words.
Best words? Okay,
Best words.
cool. Best words brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You can now save $15 by bundling your home and auto insurance.
Wow, that was really good.
That sounded like a real ad, right?
That was really good.
No, man, the whole time she's asking him, and when he breaks down seeing that she's still alive. And this is a weird thing, Sarah, but I think you can cry in front of your partner, but not that much crying if you're a man. Anyways.
Okay, that is a terrible thing to say. And men, woman, anything in between, feel your feelings, and you should feel safe to let them out.
Don't listen to her. As a toxic man,
Not around
you can
him.
cry, you can let them drop, but you can't be like scrunching up your face. Like, get yourself together. But there's a beautiful part in this movie, and the best words from
I know
Sarah
exactly
Silver.
what you're going to say because I already said them.
Sarah, she looks at him and says what?
Are you finished fighting your war now?
Yeah, man. And which probably isn't, it's just meaningful, because she's saying, can you come back to me now? Can we actually start this thing? We're living in the same house and you're putting off like us loving each other and living life with a baby. Like, can we start that now? Is your thing over? Which is not how PTSD works, but it's a cool thing to ask and be like, man, did you finally figure out that we're going to face this thing head on now?
Yeah.
Brilliant moment in a fucking Godzilla movie. This sounds like it should have been written by like Aaron Sorkin, but it was a big lizard movie.
Well, I'll tell you this. If Aaron Sorkin would have written it, Godzilla would have been walking and talking a lot faster.
Yeah.
They would have been doing walk and talks in the ocean with Godzilla. They're like, so, Godzilla, what do you think? Oh, man.
Yeah, but a great button to a movie that had no business being that good. it would have done really good business if you just make another Godzilla film. But thank you to the people who make the extra decision and the extra work to be like, I don't know. It's like if someone makes Fast and Furious a dramatic thriller. It's like, man, it takes guts to do it. And I'm glad they did it.
Well, and I hate to not give credit to obviously the people the artists who created this film, but
Yeah.
and that's where our loyalties lie. But,
Exactly.
But I'd also like to say, because more and more recently, I believe that we're getting a little bit more content that is new and different and new ideas. And obviously, this is like, existing IP. We all know Godzilla, and it's going to make $1 million. But to the people who actually said, yes, let's give these people money to make something different.
Yes.
And hope that the audience will understand it and get it and still like it. And I think that that's a fatal flaw and maybe it's not even a flaw, maybe it's the truth, but the people who are greenlighting and paying for these movies are assuming that we're all really fucking dumb. And for the most part, I mean, I am, for sure. But give me like a little bit more credit than that. And that's what this movie did. I think it probably played to both. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it, even if you weren't into the dramatic aspect of it.
Can I piggyback that? Or your thought?
Please.
Done?
Yes, my thought is done.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because it made me want to hit this point that I forgot until you said that. Everything's a spin-off or known IP, right? Mm-hmm. And that makes the creative process less demanding. People are like, let me just make a movie about a monster, because everything has to be known properly. Like, fans have to know what they're going to see now. That's why spin-offs and remakes are so popular. And they're just doing the thing here where you don't have to do. This movie probably would have made the same amount of money. I mean, reviews mean a lot, and people will go see movies once they know it's reviewed well, and this movie is reviewed well. But I'm like, man, they're actually putting thought into what everyone's been doing the last 7 years of spin-offs, and no one puts thoughts into their spin-offs and reboots and remakes of known IP. And it's just really refreshing to know that these people knew if they're going to have to get a movie made, they have to attach it to a known property, but they still had like artistic integrity.
They found a way around it.
Exactly.
A loophole.
Exactly.
That's really interesting, and I totally agree. And we need more of that.
Yeah. So I have an idea. It made me think of an idea.
Okay.
King Kong, but he fights for black rights.
I love it. Where do I sign? You can have all my money for that one. Yeah, I agree. And I wonder if... No, I lost my thought. I don't remember what I wonder.
The gummies.
It's the gummies, guys. Okay, so...
Rose and Thorn it?
Yeah, Rose and Thorn it.
Okay.
Well, my rose was the actor... I kind of already said it, but the actor who played Kenji, and I'm going to, again, murder his name.
I think I got his name.
Hidetaka Yoshioka?
Sure.
Not the main guy.
Yeah, I think it's Hidetaka Yoshioka.
Oh, wow. Great job. How'd you say it? How'd you do that?
Oh, I know things.
Cool. Sick.
Oh, look at you. Look at this guy.
I really bought his charm, and I liked all of them, and I bought all of it. Did you, Asaad, did you think the ending of this movie was good? Because it was a little, and they all lived happily ever after.
I didn't love the end. Well, ... The last scene.
Yeah.
Because it was so, don't do that. Every movie does that, and I think this movie was better than it. Mm-hmm. But it might have been like gone through 18 different producers and 2 executive producers that were like, well, how are we going to lead into maybe making another movie?
Maybe making more money off of this thing.
So if you're a movie maker and you're not a huge movie maker, all you do is compromise to get your movie made. And I bet that filmmaker wanted to end it on the last scene between the man and the woman, but there's probably some studio execs like, but what about -2? I was like, fuck, okay, fine, I'll put the stinger.
Even more slow walk.
Yeah. Or show that Godzilla was underwater, kind of regenerating again to come back. Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. I remember it now. I find it very interesting. I don't even know if this is a question, but I find it very interesting that they made this movie, a Godzilla movie, presumably for the American audience are just, people who are like, oh, fuck yeah, let's go see some explosions. And then they did subtitles over the whole thing, and it's still doing well.
Well, I don't think
cool.
This was made for America, kiddo. I think this is a Japanese film that didn't really have... Maybe they had American box office in mind.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I don't either. But I again, not a lot of research. My thorn was, again, I already talked about this, seeing this in 4DX and the perfume. That was just the worst way to see this very beautiful, dramatic, lovely movie about love and family and PTSD.
Everyone, they love... People that watch... Our swimmers that watch our pod love little tidbits about Sarah. Here's another one.
Oh, no.
Sarah gets motion sickness. She's top 1% in getting motion sickness.
Top one, the best at it.
If you like count in front of Sarah with your fingers, she'll be like, whoa, fuck. So Sarah reading subtitles while her chair jiggling around. I don't know how you didn't vomit on yourself.
Oh, I did. Multiple times.
I did.
But I had a bucket of popcorn, so it was fine. Just use that.
You did the Godzilla yell when you were vomiting?
Oh. Ew, that was really good. What were your Rose and Thorn? Did you already say them?
I am. The Rose was the first time, it was a scene, which we also need a new category for like best scene, I think. But the first time you see Godzilla on that offshore, and it's like dark, when he's kind of storming the beach, you know? I think the less light, usually like movie makers try to save budget by showing you the monster, the computer generated monster in dark, so you can't tell how bad it is and then I have to expose it more. But this one worked for me. I was like, this guy looks like a creepy fucking, yeah, it just made Godzilla look so creepy. Storming that. I loved that scene. Thorn is, it's not something specifically about the movie. It's more of a question for you. I'm expanding our Thorn category.
Sure.
I, as a dumb American, don't know when someone's performing well in another language for the most part.
I thought the same thing.
So I don't, that there's not a Thorn about the movie. It's me being a dumb viewer. Like, I actually don't know if someone's doing well in another language. I can do it with Spanish for the most part. I know Roma was good, and I know we just talked about Leave the Row Behind, and there was a good Latinx performer in that. But when it's such a foreign language to me like Japanese, I'm like, I think they're doing well. But sometimes I'm like, is this overacting?
Well, I think what you're sensing, because I had the same thought, but I think what you're sensing, and again, this is just from my imagination, I have no research on this, but what I'm guessing is that it's a different style of acting. Like, I think that if you watch, you know, I don't know, Australian thing, there's just a different style of acting, and it might be very different from what we're used to seeing.
That's fair. That makes sense.
Because I did notice it as well. It seems almost soapy, a little like, when I say soapy, I mean soap opera, a little bit broader, bigger acting.
Yeah.
That almost could be considered corny.
Yeah.
So I did notice that as well, but I did chalk it up as well to it just being not bad acting, just a different style of the way that they act.
I don't want to step on your corner here, but...
Don't step on my corner.
But I would say, and I'm surprised you didn't pick up on this, I sense a little bit of a Japanese accent. Sorry.
Did you think that the CGI was good? Because I didn't think to ask you that, but you were talking about the lizard in your Rose. So did you think that the CGI was good?
This Godzilla, I'm such a nerd. God, you ask me these questions and it really exposes how fucking nerd I am. I think everybody knows by now who's watched this, but I'm always a little puzzled by Godzilla's skin. What is it? It looks like a Nestle Crunch bar. The bottom of a Nestle Crunch bar,
which was famous worst candy. Like, not a good candy.
Not good. A crackle?
Arguably, like, why would you get that? That's what you would get out of anything. When you were a kid, what was your go-to? If your mom was like, you can pick one thing.
Well, the Milky Way, fam.
You don't even eat Milky Ways anymore.
Yeah. Can we not get personal on the pod? If you don't mind.
Why? What's wrong with saying that?
Why don't you mind your business? Maybe I had a bad experience with the Milky Way.
Is Milky Way your PTSD? Is it your Godzilla?
Maybe I tried to eat 2 out of Scout Captain once and threw up.
Is that the same time you got hypothermia?
Is your war over?
We got him, guys. We got him. We know too much. Double feature. You're going to like mine.
Okay.
Edge of Tomorrow, one of Asaad's favorite films.
Oh, that's a damn good choice. Team, if you haven't seen Edge of Tomorrow.
Team.
Not guys. Team. If you haven't seen Edge of Tomorrow, please visit it. It's some of the coolest editing ever. And it has...
Emily Blunt.
No, positive Rosamund Pike.
We have our goat, our god, Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
We're just going all out of order. My first thoughts for this film was I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I've been able, I think I say it on the pod a lot, and it's made me realize how I watch movies now that we pod so much about it. The first 15, 20 minutes is so important for me. Because a lot of the time, same with Leave the World Behind, same with Pain Hustlers that we did, and now Godzilla, the first 15, 20 minutes, I'm like, I think I'm in good hands in this movie. I think it's a good director. I think it's good filmmaking. I think it's good talent. I think I can relax that. I'm not going to be like confined to this chair for 2 hours and hate this fucking movie, you know?
Well, that's interesting that you bring this up, and I won't go too much into it, but I definitely just saw a movie that you haven't seen yet, but... Maestro.
Yeah.
And the first 20 minutes of it, I was like, oh, I hate this. I'm in for a bad time.
Really?
So it was interesting that, and my mood changed. So usually when the first 20 minutes are bad, you're like, I'm out.
And My Show's the prequel or the origin story to Star is Born, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Excited.
Yes.
What's your trailer trash, fam?
Oh, we have trailer trash for this.
Yeah.
I think I got to this movie late, if I'm going to just be honest. I got to this movie pretty late
Okay.
and didn't see the trailers. I also didn't see the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Sarah,
Dígame.
I had a good trailer.
Tell me.
It was just good. But it was heads and tails above all the other trailers because I got Beekeeper, Iron Claw, and Aquaman, right? Iron Claw looks good, but they were just like, that's everywhere. Have you seen the new Ghostbusters trailer?
There's a new Ghostbusters?
Yes, Paul Rudd. Same people that were in the last Ghostbusters that came out 27 minutes ago.
Before the female Ghostbusters and the kid Ghostbusters?
We don't acknowledge the female Ghostbusters. We don't like giving women opportunity here on this
Can you
pod.
switch the camera back to me? I
Yes.
acknowledge it.
Oh, okay. That
Even
is
though
a
it
female voice,
fucking
though, so take it with a grain of salt. Yeah, no, it's about a deep freeze in New York. Everything's cold. Operates like you operate. You know how you're always cold?
Yes, I am always cold. I'm a little chilly right now.
Yes,
actually.
so they made this movie for people like you, man.
Wait,
Thank you for seeing me.
are we excited to see this movie?
I wasn't. It just beat all the other trailers. I
Oof.
definitely won't go see it, but the trailer was decent.
All right, well, that's exciting. Did you get one that you were least excited about? Well, all the other ones you mentioned.
You know what happens lately when we go to movies? It's like you see a bad trailer so many times you start to like it. I might be coming around on Beekeeper and Imaginary.
No,
Okay, that's we're finished.
I'm out.
All right.
I need to go. It's my time. I have a hard out at 2:01. 2:01 is my hard out. Interesting. I will give my gummy rating since I was late to this film. I give this movie a 2.5 gummies. It was really good, really fun. Nothing groundbreaking, but it was a good movie.
Thank you, filmmakers, for taking risks when you don't have to. We really enjoyed your film.
Yes, we did. And if you haven't seen this movie yet and you want to, go see it. Let us know what you thought. Thank you all, as always, for joining us. And a special thank you to our swimmers. And we will see you next time.
Just like Marvel movies, we're so glad you guys stuck around. Most people logged out at this time, but this is the stinger. Sarah's going to do the Godzilla walk. Now I'd like to apologize that you stuck around. Bye.